Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
Los Angeles.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of your six-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Thursday, February 12th. The LA Galaxy 1 week away from playing in a game that matters, CCL, down in Panama, San Miguelito. We are going to be quickly approaching that time, which means, for all intents and purposes, and even though the LA Galaxy have a closed-door scrimmage tomorrow, Friday, against Real Salt Lake, the preseason, as we know it, the 2026 preseason is over. So what did we learn? What do we need to do? What can we take away from this? This is what we'll be talking about. Galaxy get a win over St. Louis City. We have injury updates. We have preseason wrap-ups. We have a cool video of a bus. You guys are going to love it. Can't wait. But to help me do all that, he flew out to Coachella. Now he's back in Dallas. Please welcome Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm recovering from this whirlwind trip that I had. So, again, out to California, Southern California, Coachella Valley, and then back to Texas. So, again, back to North Texas. So, it's been a crazy week, as you can imagine. I know there are a lot of, teachers who listen, educators in the building, and, the worst part of being out is the sub-plans. So coming back and what did you guys do? Did you guys?
We watched a movie.
What happened? Yeah, what happened? Well, the whole time would we even try to make an attempt at learning? So it's always fun putting those puzzle pieces back together when you come back. But hey, the kids got a little break. I got a little break. Right. So we can't be too mad at it. But right back into it. So ready to got our experience there, and now we're ready to enjoy a real season now.
How does it feel as a teacher that when the kids know you're not going to be there, it's literally the happiest day of the week, in the whole month. They're like, you're not going to be here. This is the best news I've ever heard. I am so glad you were not going to be here. Right? Like that has to be a thing.
Which is funny because then the mind games come into it. It's like, well, do I prep them? Do I say, hey, if you guys are good while I'm gone? But then they're just gonna get excited that you're gonna be gone. So you know what? Just not gonna say anything.
You pull the plug.
Boom, you disappear. It's like, where'd you go? Where'd he go?
He could be on vacation. He could be dead. Don't know. Keep guessing, kids.
Yeah,
Keep
that's
guessing.
my move. Yeah, the Irish goodbye, I think, is my move. Yeah,
I like it. Just ghost your kids. That's cool. No, it was fun. I had a good time. This was your first time at Coachella. Mm-hmm. Does it live up to the hype of sort of being like a little bit? It's different if you haven't been there before, right?
Yes. Yeah, it does live up to the hype in terms of like, okay, what is this going to be in terms of all the different teams that are there and the games that are happening. I think I maybe got a lighter version because there were only 2 games on that day.
There's usually only 2 games when the Galaxy play. I don't think I've ever. They usually don't play on the Saturday. I think for 3 years now we've been on Super Bowl Sunday doing this. So
well, then maybe I got the full experience. Yes. But being out there, the again, you could say because it was too hot, you could say it was a bit of a rough time in the bleachers. But there's something about playing in the sunshine, getting that real game day experience. It feels like when you played soccer tournaments as a kid and going to places and playing in the heat and being out there and kind of spending the day doing your thing. It has that feel to it, except these are professional players doing it. And so I think that it adds kind of that homey feel to it. It feels, and amateur is not the right word because that is not an amateur production out there in the polo grounds, but it feels down to earth. It feels like I guess the only way I could explain it is if you have a big time artist and they play an arena, this is you get to go see them at a bar, and so there it just kind of has that feel to it. And so I had a great time, and it doesn't hurt that when you show up and then you have Tom Braun, the LA Galaxy president, say, "Hey, the Hammer's here. Let me take you on the tour." That maybe shades my I maybe walk away with a little bit of a different, shining a little bit, chest up a little higher and shining a little bit, kind of getting to see the ins and outs of it. So that obviously helped my experience. But I can see why it's a big deal and why it just seems like it's going to continue to grow. And we talked about it on the live show. What's the questions are before the sprint season,
right?
Once the calendar change happens, how is this all going to work? And it seems like there are plans to continue a version of this to make it work moving forward. And I could only see it continue to grow. I think it's a great venue, a great setup. If you're going to do preseason, there's not going to be many better spots than that.
Yeah. By the way, big shout out because I got to go on a tour because we had people setting up for us while we were on the tour, which was awesome.
Yes.
So big shout out to Mike August, who is a good friend and does the audio for me. Matt Provino drives Mike August out to the game and then hangs out and makes sure everything is good to go as well. So those two guys get a huge shout out. And then just the James McClure. I think I'm saying that right. I always want to say it like it's either McClune or McClure. I wrote it down.
James,
McClune,
you know who you are.
James McClune. Yeah, it is. But James McClune, who works so hard to get that event every time, was awesome, as he always is. It's nice seeing like all the people from LA Galaxy Game Day services there. Like you're like, oh, I know all these people. Like and everybody was working hard to make that happen. I think I said it on the live show, but for Jamie Alvarez and for Natalie Gilmore for being able to help us out and get the players that we needed and do all that stuff. So big shout out, and obviously Tom Braun and Greg Vanny and Will Kuntz. And obviously you have Jakob Glesnes and Eric Tommy, and am I missing somebody? Tom Braun. Tom. Yeah.
Again, and there was a lot of moving parts, as you would imagine. So you really kind of get to see all that it takes to make that happen. It's no easy feat, especially when you have fans. Like I mentioned, you're watching them up close and people want autographs and, but you have players moving from one place to another. So it does make it a little bit trickier, but you see why these people do what they do and they're great at what they do, at the LA Galaxy, because it was a seamless transition, getting guests on and off, getting them from the field to the podcast area. It just, you could tell that it was a well-oiled machine and everyone, was great in making that work. So shout out to everybody, the whole gang, Mike and Matt for helping set up. And then of course, everyone at the LA Galaxy behind the scenes for making it work.
Yeah. And 80 to 90 people there sort of watching, hiding in the shade, by the way. I agree. I am not angry. Like, don't think you watch, you listen for wherever spot you can find. We're going to explore possibly moving it next year just to see if we can do a little bit better, maybe a little bit more shade. I'll talk to James and we're gonna figure something out. Maybe it's still a really good spot in terms of getting access and all that stuff. But it was great. Obviously, the Galaxy losing not so great. But that's one of those things you sort of look at it and go, okay. I mean, you can look at that 3-2 loss, and the Galaxy certainly had some issues. Greg Vanny talked about just a little bit of Elijah Winder trying to be played a little bit more forward, and that caused some space to open up. And it's not often, Eric, by the way, that you get to like sort of grab the coach right afterwards and be like, what happened, man?
Immediate thoughts, yeah. And he told you exactly what was happening, and that it was more about a fitness day and getting them the full 90 minutes, and you had tired legs towards the end of it, even though when they looked better as the game went on, which actually is a good sign. And it's a very Greg Vanny, LA Galaxy kind of hallmark, is they get better as the game goes on. So you kind of got to see that. I mentioned it on the live show as well. I think my takeaway from it, seeing how the preseason results have kind of rolled in for the LA Galaxy, is that the Chicago Fire are probably going to be a good team in the East. They're going to be well coached.
They're going to win the World Cup.
Organized.
I think they're going to win the World Cup.
So Greg Berhalter winning the World Cup. Maybe this is his chance in a World Cup year.
Never know.
But I think that is my takeaway. Is Chicago, there wasn't a bunch of bums on the other side of it. You had a team who knew how to play. They looked cohesive. They looked organized. And so that obviously led to some Galaxy struggles. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing when you play good competition and you end up with a really close game to make it work. So that was kind of my takeaway from it.
Well, I wanted to, before we get into the just Looking at the schedule and what's coming up, right? This is 2/19, so we're now exactly 1 week away from, when the LA Galaxy. In fact, this game will be over. It starts at 5 p.m., so the game will be over. On FS2, One Soccer, CONCACAF Go, TUDN. You're going to
Go. That's a new one. Do
I have no idea.
Do I have to pay for that one?
They make this crap up. But so you're going to have to look for that game. This is not going to be one where I think it's just going to be easy to find. So just be prepared for that now. We don't often have that issue, as you and I have talked about, of having to search for games and look for them. This is one where you're going to have to search and look, but that is down in Panama at Estadio Universidad Latina, right? So it's nice. Way down there. I've looked at the travel map. It's like 3,200 miles of travel overall. So that's just down, and then so multiply that by 2. Right, so this is
just keep going.
Yeah, it's going to be a stretch.
Go down, and then once you get there, just keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, the whole deal. So that's coming up. The LA Galaxy, in terms of their preseason and what that preseason looks out like, they still have one more closed door scrimmage tomorrow, Friday the 13th. It doesn't matter what time because you ain't got to watch it. Closed door against Real Salt Lake. As a matter of fact, we were told I think RSL has no public games at Coachella, just by the way that they came in and when they arrived and all that stuff. They're just all closed doors, sort of put behind that. Somebody in the Discord,
secret.
Yeah, I know. Somebody in the Discord did ask, they're like, why do they do all these closed door scrimmages? And people are like, well, they don't want to show off too much. I'm like, no, it's just cost. It's just money.
Yeah,
that's it.
Getting staff, getting everyone out there. Yeah,
security,
ticketing,
staff,
security,
cameras,
parking.
That's it. That's it. It's the whole deal. It's not cheap. And I know we sort of talked about this live show, but we got to travel to the far edges of the grounds, and basically we saw all of the practice fields. We saw where San Jose was, where St. Louis was, where the LA Galaxy were, where Chicago was, right? Like the whole deal, and where their little home bases are. They each get a couple fields. Yeah, they get the field where they play, the field where they practice. That was my takeaway from it. Is you see Coachella. Obviously, there's the music festival. You realize that this is a huge, sprawling place in order to host that many people and this many bands and to make it work. And then, of course, holding all these teams for preseason, you think, of course, this is going to be a big facility. But whatever you have in your head on how many fields there are and how big it is, you're not thinking how big it is. It is so massive. And there are so many fields and so many kind of nooks and crannies and places where you can tuck teams far away. And I think it gives a privacy. And that's what, Tom was mentioning is teams get a lot of privacy. They can be on fields that are quote unquote next to each other, but they'll never hear each other. They'll never interact because there's kind of get their own secluded areas. So I was just impressed with the amount of grounds that there were and all the different things that there were. So again, super impressive, everything that I could see why you probably don't want to open that up all the time because it takes a lot. There's a lot of space, a lot of square footage to make it work. Somebody in the Discord said Pepsi, Josh. And listen, I'm not a Pepsi fan. We've been over this many times. But whenever I got my sandwich today, the only choice was Pepsi. And that's all I could do. All right. So that's all I had. There's nothing for me to do. So what am I going to do? Not have a soda? I think not. That sounds crazy.
I'm a Coke Zero guy, but a Pepsi Zero, the drop off from Pepsi Zero to Coke Zero, that's a lot tighter than Coke to Pepsi. I'll say that.
I don't even like this. I just needed something. All right,
I just work here.
Just to lubricate things, right? Got to keep it lubricated. I don't think that's not that song. Yeah. But the LA Galaxy have that closed door scrimmage against Real Salt Lake. Then again, as we said, on the 19th, you're looking at the LA Galaxy versus San Miguelito down in Panama. Then you have the LA Galaxy versus New York City, the season opener on Sunday, the February 22nd. The return against Sporting San Miguelito up at Dignity Health Sports Park on the 25th, 28th. The LA Galaxy host Charlotte. That's your February. That's coming rapidly. And there's no Rapids to play yet, but that's something.
There you go.
It's always something. But I did want to get to the tryouts again for the LA Galaxy unified team. And again, the LA Galaxy unified tryouts taking place on Monday, February 16th. So that's this Monday coming up at Dignity Health Sports Park. The team is comprised of athletes ages 16 to 25. And with and without intellectual disabilities, athletes take part in specialized training sessions, competitive matches against other MLS unified teams, and a signing and media day. You can click the link on the LA Galaxy Foundation Instagram bio to register. So those are your instructions. And as we say on the show, this show is a fan of the LA Galaxy unified team. So get out there and try out for that. All right, let's move.
Yeah, I was also thinking, we're huge fans of the unified team, and I was thinking, how can we show our support? And I'm bummed that I just aged out of it.
Just barely.
25. I just aged out of it,
like
so I'm
2
bummed that I
years
can't.
ago,
I was thinking,
I could've been there.
can I try out and go for it? But I just barely missed the cutoff, so that's a bummer too. But again, still going to throw all my support in the unified team there.
It's gonna be fun. Right? Like I said, we're gonna try to do a lot. Let's talk about the LA Galaxy's game against St. Louis. This was a 3-0 win, 0-0 at halftime. Your starting lineup. Now it was funny because I saw people going, "Well, where is everybody? Like, where are all the guys who played on Sunday?" It's like, no, they were actually trying to not have those guys play again.
Did you listen to the show? Come on,
Nope.
You got to listen to the Coachella show. They told us this.
Yeah. So Maya Yoshida, by the way, all right, now we do this in the appropriate manner and with the appropriate amount of respect, but boo, boo, boo to this lineup in numerical order. That's not how we do things. We are trying to help people learn the game if they are not up. Listen, this podcast is expert level. We can figure out where everybody goes. That being said, put them in a formation, or at least list them by like left to right, back to front, so way we can put people in their proper spaces. You listen. I know you want to. I know it's clean. I get it. I see graphically. I'm like, yes, this is so. But no, LA Galaxy, bad. Do not do this whenever it starts the season. And by the way, I will complain about this constantly. This will be something that will be on every single show if we do not start getting formational lineups. Help people out. Anyway, that was it.
And you're right. To a new fan too who's tuning in. And so I see Yoshida, so he's at the top of my list. So is he going to be at the top of the field?
Yeah.
So again, it just makes it
he's a
easier
forward.
to make it easier, for everyone to kind of see it. I would even argue the lineup, the positions or the formations don't need to be correct. They just need to be in like you said,
in the general vicinity.
General scope. Yeah. It doesn't have to be 4-4-3, 4-3-3, 4-4-2, whatever it is. Just, hey, my attackers are up here. So again, usually that's 3 people. Midfield, 3, or whatever it is.
Right.
Again, it's going to naturally line up, but it's not that hard. We can make it work.
No, it's not. So we get Maya Yoshida at defense, Cerrillo in the midfield, Sanabria in the midfield, Nascimento up top, Marcinkowski in goal. I can figure that one out. Let's see, John Nelson at the left back position. Then you have Ramirez, which, by the way, I was watching this game and I'm like, are they playing 2 up top, or is Ramirez playing out on the wing, or where is everybody? Because Ramirez would pop up in weird spots and then Nascimento would pop up in weird spots. I'm like, where
they're
is
both on the field. Yeah, they're both on the field at the same time.
So again, a lineup might help me positionally sort of figure out what that base is, and then we can work from there, right? So Ramirez, Tucker Lepley in there, Ramos Jr., Harbor Miller was back at right back, and then you had Jose Magana, right? I think isn't it Jose Pepe Magana? I believe it is. But anyway, so
sure, I'll defer to you on that one.
Yeah, for VCFC from Ventura County. So that is that's sort of where the lineup sat. 0-0 halftime. We're just going broad strokes because this is preseason. We don't need to be crazy. By the way, I'm not even going to say it, but somebody in the chat room says every team in the world does this. Why are we complaining about this? No, not every team in the world does this. As a matter of fact,
They used to.
Yeah, the LA Galaxy didn't do this for most of their life. I can tell you that right now. So, and by the way, a lot of teams don't just put it in numerical order and just call it good enough. No, that's not how it goes. This is like one
I'd
of those.
like to at least hear the reason. What's the MLS guidelines require number order. Hey, if you tell us that, I'll be mad at
I'll be mad at MLS.
I won't like it, but
Right.
I'll at least have a reason on why you do this.
I respect the graphic design function of it. It is clean and it works. I respect that. I respect anybody who puts it together. Just do better. Give more information. So that's again where it is. So I'll say this, broad strokes, because this is a preseason game. The LA Galaxy played okay in the first half. Actually had some chances. Nascimento had some chances. The big guy who had a whole bunch of chances was John Nelson in this first half. Probably could have put more on frame. And you want him to at least put things on frame. You want things to at least test people. So I saw that. I think I was confused sometimes by what Tucker Lepley was trying to do. And I really like Tucker, but I actually like him more in the middle and playing through the middle. And I think he was playing a little bit more out wide, mostly because I think they needed people to play out wide, right? It was sort of like, who do we have and where we could sort of do this? But the Galaxy missed some easy passes. Christian Ramirez had some nice sort of plays where he was able to dish out and cut and create inside of a little space. There wasn't enough of that. They didn't play through him enough, and I don't know where his position was supposed to be in this particular game to where he could have been a more like 9 type striker in this position, and I think Nascimento runs off of him better than Nascimento sort of being the. But again, you're trying to put Nascimento in a spot where he's probably more going to play, and whether or not Ramirez was playing that left wing or he was coming inside a whole bunch. So there was some sort of morph that was happening at the top there, where somebody would go up and somebody would drop back, and those two were sort of playing a two.
Interchangeability. You see that often on the wings, but I guess you could make it work with a wing and a forward. And my take is the fact that you had them on the field at the same time. Is this something that you're going to see with Nascimento and Klaus? Is this something where you're going to see Ramirez and Klaus? Are the different kind of permutations going to work where maybe someone's assigned the winger position, but they're not kind of a half winger or whatever we want to call this position? And the fact that they connected for a goal, I think, is a good sign that at least some type of chemistry there, something was working in order to make it work. So to me, I get excited about that.
Yeah, I did like seeing some. The big thing here is. The big takeaway was it was another shutout, at least for me. Like that was sort of thing. And by the way, that was even with a little bit of rotation into that second half, and you were sort of like, oh, this is probably where the Galaxy are going to give up a goal and do that. I thought Marcinkowski played well enough to sort of keep them in it at all times. The LA Galaxy defense under Maya Yoshida was pretty strong. It was also, let's put it, this was more a second team lineup for the LA Galaxy, and it was more of a second team lineup for St. Louis as well. Okay. And so for me, that's fine. Like then show me what you're. Then I can expect something. I think the LA Galaxy second team is better than St. Louis's second team. When I know these things, then I know that the LA Galaxy's first team is probably better than St. Louis's first team, which I would agree on principle right now, right?
Yeah. And also it speaks to the Galaxy's depth. So even if St. Louis's first team was better than the Galaxy's first team, the drop off maybe from St. Louis A to St. Louis B there's a bigger gap there than maybe from LA Galaxy A to LA Galaxy B. And so I think you have more competitive nature in it. You end up thinking that there's a smaller gap, and that the depth is really something we're going to have people challenging for starting positions. I don't see information about Eric Tommy. Did he make an appearance? I know
he did not. No, we have injury updates, and so he has a little something, but I think they are expecting to play on Friday, tomorrow, whenever it has. So we were sort of waiting. I think he was trying to hint at that at the. Yes. It's always once you find out the news, you're always like, he was trying to tell us. We should have picked up on that.
Yes. I'll go back to just our live show and being able to speak to Jakob Glesnes and to speak to Eric Tommy. We have these kind of rational or irrational connections that you have to these players. And obviously, me not being out there, every single game, those two players are going to stick out, and I'm going to be rooting for them maybe a little bit extra as the season goes on. But my sitting there and talking to Eric Tommy, that guy means business. I don't know if it was the Germanness of it but he looks intense. He made a point to say, I'm going to play. Like, I didn't play, but I plan on playing. So he just had this seriousness to him that, like, you could tell he's a no nonsense guy. He wants to get out there and play. He wants to get out there and compete. And so I'm looking forward for him to get on the field, because I think he could bring some good things to this Galaxy team, and especially with the Ricky Void. I think he's the type of player who can maybe flourish in that role, especially when you link him up with someone like Royce, who he may have a connection just based on their styles of play.
Yeah, it was. I was distracted by Tommy just because. I have a friend who's German. His name is Dirk, and he's awesome. He's one of my good friends. And
Dirk always gets a shout out on the show. Dirk, we're fans of Dirk here.
100%. So, but I had to call Dirk on the way back, and I was like, man, I was talking to Eric Tommy, and I was like, this guy reminds me of Dirk, like the whole time. And it's just like the sense of humor is the same. And it's like the German sense of humor, but it's more than that. They're very much similar in terms of, I go, I think you even look like him a little bit. He goes, oh, thank you. Like the whole deal. I was like, oh, okay. I look like a professional athlete. That's good. But no, it was fun. I actually thought it was funny. I saw Eric Tommy at the season ticket member event, and he had he was like jet lagged. The dude was like barely hanging on whenever he was there. And I sort of was like, oh man, this guy's real serious. it was fun to see. He had a joking side, right? And I knew Guesman had a joking side that was sort of fun there too. So no big yak for Jakob. So it's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
It's all right.
We got the answer. That was what we wanted.
Yeah, and we also split the baby on the Eric controversy. We shook hands. We agreed. World peace. It's all around the corner.
C or K, it's not politics here. We can agree. Yes. We can agree that it's all okay. So that's okay. Just not CK. We're out on that.
Yes, that's where we're at. So apologies to all our CK listeners out there.
But, overall, here's the thing is that I think if you look at the St. Louis game, it's 0-0, and then St. Louis makes some mistakes in that second half, and two really big mistakes that are like easy goals for the Galaxy, especially Peck's last was just like they went to head the ball back to the goalkeeper and they didn't make it, and Peck was sort of like, oh, I'll take this and score. No problem. I like the fact that the Galaxy in the second half came out and pressured and efforted to basically force those mistakes. So we can sit there and say, oh, well, St. Louis just passed on the ball. It was so easy. It's like, yeah, but the Galaxy were putting them under pressure.
You got to earn it. Yeah.
That pressure related to something. Also, I'm going to say this now. If the Galaxy just capitalize on mistakes like that, they're going to do just fine this year, right? Like how many times last year did somebody make a mistake and the Galaxy would let them off the hook, right? And
the Galaxy was the team that made the mistakes.
Yeah,
they were the team making the mistakes last season. Yeah.
So for me, I like the fact that they worked hard, they pressured, St. Louis gave it up, and they scored, right? And so you got that. Ruben Ramos Jr. got his first goal, Nasi got another goal. Gabriel Peck. So Gabriel Peck now at 3 goals in the preseason for that tan boot. We'll talk about that here in a second, which, by the way, I like that we named it the tan boot. It just feels right. It feels right. So, I thought that was good. Again, I'm looking at these preseason games, and except the game against Chicago, the defense has been really stout. And again, I can see the workings and the issues that sort of came about with the Chicago game. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I can see how you could work on that and get a little bit better. So in the St. Louis game and watching the second team, they worked hard. The Vanny twins made their first appearances, I think, on a senior team.
We knew
camera.
That was going to happen. Yep.
We were waiting for it. And so that was another thing. I don't think anything. Listen, I think, again, and I've said this before, if Dylan Vanny wasn't Greg Vanny's son, I think there would probably already be like a homegrown contract being signed for the LA Galaxy. But I don't know if that's in the cards. But it was nice to see that happen in the second half and the Galaxy, again, get a little bit better and pick things up. Gabriel Peck came in for some more minutes. That's a good sign for the LA Galaxy. The Gabriel Peck played on Sunday and then was like, yeah, no problems. I got you for 15, 20 minutes at the end. Yeah.
Need me to go steal a goal? No problem.
Yeah, no problem. I can do that. So those are all good information. And for the most part now that we have, concluded with the preseason, obviously there's a game against Real Salt Lake. Again, closed door. We might find out goal scorers. We might not. But the Galaxy have pretty much been unscathed in injuries in terms of any major injuries, knock on wood, now just a week out. So, when you look at it that way, I think there's a pretty good chance here. We did Rob, by the way, Rob Jalen was
shout out to Rob. He was at Coachella. Yeah.
Rob's amazing. He was out on Sunday. He was out on Wednesday. I know he was out there, but he got some injury updates. So we saw that there was no Mauricio Cuevas playing in the first game, and then no Mauricio Cuevas in the second game. So it was one of those. He's carrying a slight knock. We had Eric Tommy as well, both with a little bit of a slight knock, but coming in there, and both should be involved in the Galaxy's game on Friday, so tomorrow. Chris Rindolph also a few weeks away, which is why they had Pepe Magana in there. And then also, I believe Isaiah Parente has a little knock as well. That was, I think, another thing that was in there. So the Galaxy, for the most part, I mean, it doesn't sound like they're months away, right? But for the most part, they're entering into this rather healthy. So, we'll see.
Like you said, knock on wood. I mentioned this when we were watching the game. I think Garces went down or Ade went down. One or two, or maybe they both went down at some point. And I just felt like I said out loud. I said, rule number 1 of preseason: don't get injured. But then you correctly said, well, you can't play like that. Of course, when you play like that, that's where things go sideways. But looking from the outside in, to walk out of a preseason with no major injuries, that's a big win, especially when you consider, Ricky and him not being. I don't know how many times we're gonna have to keep beating that horse. Maybe the season will have to get started before we can stop talking about it. But when you have kind of those looming things hanging over you, kind of the bad vibes, bad juju, whatever you want to call it, to come out without any major injuries, it makes you feel good and excited about what's coming this season. And then especially when you have someone like Peck who's doing double duty, and you would imagine you're going to see some of that. You're going to need it between the CONCACAF Champions Cup and your home opener. You're going to need some guys, especially your big name players, your Pecks, your Painsills, your Klaases, your people who are making the big bucks. You're going to want them to be playing double duty and getting those extra minutes.
Yep. So so for the most part, everybody's sliding through. Big shout out to executive producer Herb, who dropped off some flags for us, man. Just some amazing stuff.
The gift that keeps on giving. Executive producer Herb.
Executive producer out at Coachella. By the way, I still have I was telling the Hammer, I was frazzled trying to get ready because everything was still packed in boxes from the trip out to Coachella. So that it's like, do you ever set up something that, and it doesn't matter what you're setting it, you set it up and you're like, yeah, this is right. This is how it feels. This is like the comfortable place. And then you have to take it down or move it. And then you're supposed to put it back up in the same spot and you're trying to remember how you did it. It takes you longer trying to remember how you did it than just putting it there and doing it. That's every time I do a live show, I have to take my whole podcast setup that's in here and take it out to somewhere else. And then I mess with things while I'm out there. And then I bring it back. But yeah, I was frazzled just trying to get it. But executive producer Herb was out there. He says, great to see you guys at CVI. Shout out to Miss Provino for letting me mess with the equipment. Always a pleasure. Have a great show. It is always fun setting up all the live show. I get a lot of questions about how we set it up and what we do. And I'm happy to say more and more now, Eric, it's not my baby to set up anymore. So Mike has taken over. I'm like, you know what? You got any real questions? Ask Mike about it. All right. Cause I don't think I know.
What a blessing. What a blessing to be able to hand that off.
Awesome.
So shout out to Mike.
Thanks.
One more time.
Thanks, Herb. Appreciate you. Thanks, Mike. Always good. He got you. I've gotten used to roadies. Mr. Provino says he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So I got to go on a tour. And I came back. Everything was set up for me. It was great.
And it was done. Yeah.
We're the talent. Remember, I told you wanted to wear shorts. I'm like, you're the talent. You can wear whatever you want.
I ended up not wearing shorts anyway, just out of respect.
Right. So that's our injury update. Let's go to the preseason sort of record. The LA Galaxy now 4-1-0, only one game remaining, 12 goals for, 4 goals against for that's a good ratio there. That's a real good ratio. 3 shutouts now. 3. Against Portland, against Orange County, which is whatever, but against St. Louis. All those wins except for the Fire game. I will agree with Greg Vanny on the Fire game, which was they had a chance to win that game and go up 3-2, and instead they caved it 3-2, which is very 2025 of them, by the way. So I'm not overly worried about it, but that's where we're sitting now. It's nice to sort of see these things lining up, but I still think there is a reasonableness to saying Portland will end up being a better team, but when the Galaxy played them weren't that good. DC United is only slightly more or slightly less of a dumpster fire than Sporting Kansas City is. And that's being generous to DC United for years have sucked now.
And which we didn't play Sporting Kansas City in the preseason, so you don't have that to compare. But yeah, DC United got worse than they were last season, and they were not great last season.
Yeah, no, they were. I think they were Wooden Spoon last year, didn't they? Didn't they finish last? I think they did.
Were right in there.
Yeah. Them in Atlanta playing for the Wooden Spoon on decision day.
Decision day, yeah.
Yep, that's right.
That's not the position you want to be in.
Nope. And then the St. Louis game, 3-0 game there. So now just Real Salt Lake, and that sort of closes everything out. We go to our preseason gold leaders, the tan boot guy right now. It's Mr. Gabriel Peck, who scored a goal on his birthday. That was the birthday goal for him. Now leads everybody else. Nascimento with 2, Sanabria with 2. It's not bad people to have.
Yeah.
Scoring goals. It's not like last year, and I joke, but it was Miguel Berry who was leading, and it's like, that dude's not going to play that much. He shouldn't be scoring. He shouldn't be the leader. Gabriel Peck should be one of the leaders. You got goals from Nascimento, who you expect to play a lot of 9, outside of Klaus, right? You Sanabria, with 2 goals is something that I think I enjoyed watching Sanabria play on Wednesday. I thought it was a good solid showing for him there. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I get it there. That makes sense. Royce with the goal, Aude with a goal, Painsil with a goal, Parente with a goal, Ramos Jr. with a goal. Those are all fine. That's whatever it is. But the Galaxy spreading it out and getting some goal contributions. But Gabriel Peck, being at the top of the tan boot right now, is exactly where he's supposed to be, Eric.
So my question to you, tomorrow, closed door, if no scores get out, it still goes to Gabriel Peck, even though someone else may have passed him. It's over. It's done.
No, no.
10 boots given.
No, we have to count tomorrow.
So,
we have
all right.
to.
So we have to figure out what the results are by one way or another. Whether RSL posts or something, and you make it work. I like it. I will raise my hand. I'm going to go the other direction on you. I see your point on having the names and spreading it around and different people getting goals. I think that says something to the style of play and the systems that Vanny has going, because that tells you almost doesn't matter who you put in there. The goals are going to come because of how they're going to be playing and the instructions on the field. But my concern, not having Klaus with the goal. This is someone who is going to be on a DP contract. The expectations are that he's going to be banging in goals. And so to not have him with one on there is a little bit of a concern, little bit of a red flag. Still have one more day to kind of see how that goes. Vanny did mention that he is the type of player who's going to drop back, and he mentioned that he might give just as many assists as he does goals. So again, that's not necessarily his role is going to be a tap-in merchant, kind of like what the Chicharito was when he was with the LA Galaxy. It's going to be a little bit different setting players up. But if he's your target, if he's your striker, he's your number 99, I guess. He's not your number 9. But, he's up there and he's going to be your player who needs to score the goals. You need to see one or two of those go in the preseason. And I mentioned, Chicharito as that that's person who's kind of always in the right spot. His preseason, where he had one of his best seasons for the LA Galaxy, he was scoring goals in the preseason. And so you want to see your striker scoring goals. So that's the one thing that concerns me, is that, the goals are coming from Peck, which is great, but you probably want to see more goals from your strikers, especially your number one striker.
So the LA Galaxy, Klaus is this weird hybrid, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm there yet on him, like in terms of what to expect. I watched him play a lot in St. Louis. I know how the Galaxy should be able to play through him in the distribution and the ability to get the ball. And I think we saw some of that against Chicago, where the ball would come up, he would hold, he would dish off to Royce, and then he would turn and he would sort of get into it. They weren't super successful in doing that, but there was also some space issues with Winder back behind and some other things. So I can understand why it didn't work out great, but I can see him distributing. And he's one of those guys that if he gives you like 10 goals, then he's also should give you like 5 to 8 assists. It's like the number needs to be around like 17 or 18 in goal contributions.
I have a game. We'll get there.
Okay.
We don't have to do it right now, but I have an over-under game with, since preseason is over or essentially over, I do have some, 2026 expectations. So let's put a pin in that on what the number is.
We will move on, and we will highlight some of our newest, I don't know, video contributions in this. I don't know. I find apps and then I'm like, I can make this work for the podcast. So I give you the LA Galaxy now ready to travel back from Coachella to Dignity Health Sports Park. And what does that look like, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. There's a bus. It is driving from Coachella. It's making its way from over to the 91 eventually, through Corona, past Anaheim, and right there into the stadium for about 131.3 miles from Coachella all the way back to Dignity Health Sports Park. So that is the travel route that will take place tomorrow afternoon. So after the LA Galaxy are done, Eric, they will get to go home, and then they're off this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So they're off. They'll report on Monday for game week. It is now game week, right? So whenever they're getting ready to head down to Panama. So certainly something interesting there, and everything else that's going on with how they're traveling, where they're traveling. And if you tune in on Monday's show, I might have a video that shows the LA Galaxy traveling down to Panama as well. So
there you go. I was going to say, quite the video there. I'll say the dramatic game preview music. Yes. I don't know that it matches.
No, it doesn't.
The setup. We need something different. I don't know if it's the double Dutch bus. It needs a little more peppy, a little more upbeat, something a little easier. Again, shout out to, maybe we can get Ray Plaza on the blower here. Ray, we can get him doing it.
We need travel music, Ray. I don't know what that means, but you're the genius. You figure it out.
Yeah, something a little more bubbly. And I think if you have some flight schedules and some different things with different apps happening, maybe there can be different music after a win, different music after a loss, and maybe it kind of changes the vibe. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but I'm only saying this because at CVI, with the live show and having the COG theme played over the loudspeakers in front of a crowd, it hits. It's great. So again, if we can get a little more of a taste of that, I'm all for it.
Well-known fact in this household, on a regular basis, my youngest will be like, play the COG music, and I cue it up,
raising them right,
hit it play, and then he starts go ahead and doing the whole thing. So that's sort of where we're at with the LA Galaxy and going there. One of the things that we have is obviously the announcement of all of the players' numbers. I don't think any of these are super crazy or anything like that, but 99 for Klaus was one of the ones I think that people were sort of like, where's he going to go? That type of thing. Eric Tommy, I'm not going to, I don't want to say it because then I sound crazy. But 27 is my number. That's that's my number. It always has been my number. It continues to be my number. 27 was my number. So, that's what, who do you shout out, Eric, for numbers here? Is there anybody here that you're like, yeah, feeling?
I'm my number, again, to tell about myself, I was always number 9. So, 9 was my number. So even if I couldn't get 9, I was 29, I was 19, 39, anything with a 9 in it is what I went. So I kind of like the boldness of Klaus, 99. It's right there. It reminds me of, Joveljic when he came to the team, he couldn't get 9. So guess what? Double it, give it to the next person. Give me 99. So I kind of like the boldness of 99. That's my standout for the season.
It's a good call. Again, Joveljic in the 99 was a great kit. Klaus with the 99 could be a great kit.
Could be something.
Could be something. It's a special one whenever you get there. So that's certainly there. It was funny. Potterman says rumors. Josh, there's not a lot of. I don't know what you want.
We're set, right? Didn't we say this? That the team's pretty much set. Maybe, yeah. Is it down the line? Maybe in the summer.
Didn't Will come on the show and say we don't feel like we need to make any moves? Reading between the lines there. By the way, I would also like to say I did ask him about Cristiano Ronaldo just because I like doing that on occasion.
He also didn't say no.
He didn't say no. That's all I was going to say. I go. Do you want to put those down? He goes, no, I'm not gonna do that. He goes, what? He goes because then he was, and this is.
He says things could change and there could be more information tomorrow.
Yeah. The whole deal. But he also said, that I'll be texting him. Look, some guy from somewhere in Africa.
Zimbabwe,
yeah, trying to be like, is this true? That does happen on occasion. He's not wrong about that, right? Sometimes I'm like, listen, I just want, just tell me no, and then I'll kill it. It'll be dead, right? The whole deal.
But also, devil's advocate. Sometimes those 3 follower account, it's a cousin, it's someone, and they're correct. So you can never fully throw it all the way out.
Here, Hammer, certainly from Bag, $2 super chat. Who is your favorite LA Galaxy content creator? Who's your favorite LA Galaxy? I'm going to tell you right now. I know people who work really, really hard. Like, it's not going to be like content creator that you're going to like. But between, I'm going to tell you like reporters who I know work extremely hard and all that.
Okay.
He drives me crazy, but Scott French still does some of the best writing about the LA Galaxy that you're going to find. So if you go to Soccer America and you follow Scott French, like, that's awesome. Rob Jalen works extremely hard. Like, I'm a big fan of his. He knows it. I love that guy. Everything that he does. I mean, there's not a lot of people who would commit to doing 2 shows in a week. Because you have to be pretty stupid to do that. And Rob apparently is as stupid as I am whenever it comes to that. I was just going to
say, is that your way of calling Rob stupid in the kindest way possible?
No. I was just saying we're both crazy, right?
I love it. Yeah, he's a hard worker right there. So again, the content that he cranks out, and I know he's been doing short form videos for the La Cunha podcast. So shout out to him for there. If we go kind of more traditional content creator, if you want to kind of think in the influencer world, someone that jumps out in my mind, they do a lot of great comedy skits, and when it comes to soccer and things like that, it's Adi Azran. So I don't know if you follow him. He's a Galaxy fan, and he does a lot of stuff with the Galaxy as well. So I don't know if you're following him. He's a great follow on TikTok, on Instagram. It always helps when they're a Galaxy fan. It kind of makes it a little bit better. But he's someone who cracks me up. He does, comedy videos where he's the perspective of the referee and kind of does different things. It's really funny, and it's always nice when he's able to show the LA Galaxy some love as well.
Yeah, Rob and Ananda, by the way. I don't want to.
Shout out Nando as well.
I didn't want to cut that off, but no, it takes some real dedication to be able to do that. So those guys are great, and I love hanging out with them in the press box at Coachella. Eli Lesser was out at Coachella. We got to say hi. I got to say hi to him in person, like, for the first time. We've probably talked to each other a million times. So a whole bunch of stuff that's going on there. Hold on, I'm going to check something because I remembered that we were going to. You don't even know this yet.
Oh, something's happening live.
Yeah, well,
again. Shout out Eli Lesser as well. He's always doing his thing. I always like. Again, if you love the game, you're a fan of the game. You're a fan of these teams. And I know you've talked about how kind of almost removing some of your fandom to it because you want to, do good work and be objective and put that thing out there. But the reason why we love the game is because we're fans. So being able there, I was standing right next to Eli watching the game and kind of chatting it up and talking about, okay, this player here, this player there, where did this guy come from? So there's when you have that fan element, that always makes it a little bit better. So shout out to Eli. We had some fun times there.
There is a contest coming up, which Corner of the Galaxy will be a part of, as well as 1-2 threads, and then Soccer Warehouse as well. Like two of my absolute favorite people. They asked me if
happening.
They're like, do you guys want to be part? Yes. Like, I love everybody who's involved with this, obviously, in 1-2 threads. So that's coming up. Just keep your eyes peeled. I'm not going to tell you anything about it, but keep your eyes peeled. We got something coming up. That's a tease. I probably wasn't even supposed to.
Fun times.
But you know what? We like building the drama around here. So that's certainly there. I can tell you something that I don't think anybody else has. We won't call it breaking news, but it is certainly something that I know that I worked hard to find out. And I want to share. But we all know about Johnny Perez and headed to Chivas Guadalajara, right? Mm-hmm. That's a whole thing. So Nashville sold him to Chivas.
Sell-on clause. Let's hear it.
There is a sell-on clause. So we think that fee, at least has been reported, of north of $3 million, somewhere in there. All right. So the LA Galaxies, and from the information I was able to gather from the appropriate people, the LA Galaxy have a sell-on clause that's 10%. Now, chill. Hold on. There's always stipulations to all this, right?
But wait, there's more.
So that 10% doesn't kick in until after $1.5 million. So basically, it's $3 million. Let's just say it's $3 million, right? Then it's 1.5, which is funny because it's half a 3, right? So anything north of 1.5 is 10% sell on. So in this particular case, it'd be like $150,000 if it was right at 3. So it's not like going to break the bank, but that is money that comes back. And remember, the Galaxy already got a whole bunch of cash from Nashville for Johnny Perez. So this is just like a little sprinkling on the top, right? So
I was gonna say they just got half an international slot because that seems to be the going rate, somewhere around 250, 275, and we know that they're collecting international slots right now. So again, it helps in that regard when you hear about they're out of GAN, they're out of all the allocation money, and you need those things to make things continue working. So like you said, they weren't planning on this, so it is just a nice little added bonus.
Yeah, the whole deal. So again, it's not, I see people trying to do the math already. It was like, oh, there we go. Okay, corrected. It's not 300. It's anything above 1. So if it ends up being 3.5, then anything north of 1.5 is 2 million, right? The 2 million remaining there. Okay. And so that would be $200,000 that the LA Galaxy would be able to get, right? So all just little things. Also, I pointed out, and I've said this before, and again, I think we're the only ones reporting this, but the LA Galaxy still will be, I believe, delivered cash for the Johnny Perez deal that Nashville still owes them later this year that also can then be transferred into general allocation money. So the general allocation money that we're watching is the LA Galaxy go and do these little international slots and everything like that, is stuff that can be replaced. That is the next thing that we have to talk about because it is news. But the LA Galaxy did acquire a 2026 international roster slot from Austin FC. This is after they acquired a international slot from San Jose earlier. So that's done. Now, both of those slots, which now this makes, whenever they did the second one, Eric, I was like, and if you go back and listen to Will Kuntz, he says, we're using those. So now there's 2. There wasn't 2 at the time, but there was 2. We're using those international slots, the 6-month ones, because we have guys who are in the process of getting green cards.
I believe he said late stages of the process of getting green cards. So, I'm holding you to that. That we're close. That could be part of the reason why it's only 6 months. So hopefully, we're in the later stages because we know that it's probably not a fun process right now.
Yeah, we can look at it. And by the way, Will on the podcast as well said, pay attention to the international slots because they've been going crazy. Basically,
prices are higher than what we're used to, I think. Right
now. I think everybody is. And listen, I think you're going to pay more for a 6-month slot than you are going to pay for in terms of if you made the math. Like the Galaxy purchase the one from Austin for $240,000 in general allocation money, right? You multiply that by 2 and you're at $480,000, and that's a really expensive. That's like on the upper end, but I mean, people are buying them for around 400 right now. 400, 410, 385, somewhere in there. But for 6 months, they're being weighted heavier than they are for full years right now. And I just find that interesting in terms of, how that works and
why
why that works.
It's like if you only need it for 6 months, that must mean you really need it. That could be there could be something to that.
So what we see here is that the LA Galaxy now have 9 of the 11 slots that they need. We were able to pull off Gino Vivi because he's down now with the Tampa Bay Rowdies. I believe that may have been finalized after our last Thursday show. I don't think, I think that, or I can't remember exactly when it was, but yes, finalized. So he's now in with Tampa Bay, which means the LA Galaxy get one less international slot. Again, once the green card comes through for Vivi, I think there's a good chance he makes the senior team. But until that happens, that's not, they don't want to spend the extra money on the international slot. So, technically speaking, the Galaxy just need 2 more. That's what they're looking for. 2 more international slots. And I imagine those are both full slots, not 6-month slots. So
correct.
Which indicates that there are 2 players who are trying to get green cards, not just one. We know of one, which was Gino Vivi, and then he gets moved out. And so now you're like, now there's 2 more who are in the green card slot. So again, want to give them the space to sort of be able to do that. And
we're not going to play speculate. Yeah.
No. So, and by the way, Will was pretty clear on the 6-month thing, which was sort of like, he was like, we asked for this rule because we don't want to pay a full one. Like, just give us 6 months.
And it's flexibility because, again, with transfers and things, it kind of allows you, okay, you're not committed to a player. If you want to offload them, well, we paid for that international slot. Now what do we do? So it kind of makes it a little bit different.
Yeah, so that's certainly there. The roster is more or less, sort of in that spot. I think you're going to end up finding the Galaxy have more than 30 players on the roster. It's just a matter of where they're all sort of allocated in different things there. So don't pay too much attention to that. Let's go to your over-unders right now because I want to get to the kit.
Okay.
But I think we can do that after over-unders.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we have a super chat as well. I know, hey, Gus, and I promise this is not my burner. It says, can CR7 be confirmed already? So, again, we told you. Will Kuntz did not say no.
Yeah.
So, again, that's as best as we can do.
I'll say no. Can I say no?
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, you can say no.
Okay.
And then Mr. Provino said the real question was Hammer's kids, were they impressed with their dad's fame or were they really over it?
No, I can answer this.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I've never seen kids more upset. They're actually mad. They were mad that they had to miss school and for 2 days and go to California. I've never met 2 kids who were upset that they were getting pulled out of school to go on a little trip. So again, they were absolutely over it from start to finish. So again, they really they roast me more than anyone. Which I think it's Jeff Ross, the famous comedian, who says you only roast the ones you love.
Yeah.
Well, they must really love me because they give me some really heavy roasting.
Yeah. No, it was fun. I talked to both of them. I was like, they are not impressed. And by the way,
not impressed.
My wife and kid were also invited out, and they were like, "No, we're good. We're good." Like the whole day. Like, don't they think it's cool that their parents get to talk to the? Listen, I'll be honest with you. All right, this one hurts a little more than I like to admit. And I told my wife this, and I go, I need to tell you something sad. And she's like, "What's that?" I'm like, I have invited my dad out to come out to Coachella for 3 years, and every time he's like, I can't. I got a Super Bowl party to go to. It's the same people in the same house, and like you can make it there in time without going. I'm just like, it's like, oh, so it's not cool. It's not cool. I mean, here's the man who I spent like talking sports with my entire life, but doesn't want to come out and like see his son like perform. I don't know. I'm not even that good. I get it, but it's the point of the thing. Like
just one time.
Finally, my 14-year-old thinks that I'm cool, right? Like she thinks I'm cool, like for like just this little portion of it. When she got to come to the game with me and that type of thing, she thought it was cool. But yeah, anyway, so that was fine. All right, over-unders, let's do it.
All right, over-unders. So I kind of picked, since the preseason is officially over, I was trying to think, okay, what are some things that we can set? What are expectations going to be? And I think we had a whiplash when we went from MLS Cup winning season to teetering on a goal or on a wooden spoon, not a golden spoon, wooden spoon season. So I just kind of came up with some scenarios on what are going to be our expectations or over-unders. So I'm going to start with points, wins, and then place in the standings. So if you had 2025, 30 points, 7 wins, 14th place.
Okay.
2024, the MLS Cup winning season, 64 points, 19
Right.
wins.
Right.
Second place. So if
Right.
you kind of split it right down the middle,
like
47 points,
Oh,
13 wins, 8th place. Are you over or under 47 points?
under.
Under. Okay,
I
under
think
47 points.
I think 42 to 45. Like I'm right. It's right in that zone, right?
It's in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think you were close on that.
And I think 44 points gets you into the playoffs.
Okay.
So again, 45, 46, I think you're right in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
13 wins.
13 wins. 13 wins. I think that's the number.
Right?
Nah, I don't know, man.
You got,
That feels like
okay.
that-
Let me hit you with this one. 12.5 wins.
12.5 wins. I will take the over. The over.
Okay,
I'll
so over.
put it
So
at
you're
that.
saying
Yeah,
13-ish. So
Mhm.
we're going to go over. Okay, and then 8th place. Higher or lower
Higher.
than 8th place? Higher. So, okay, I agree with that. So I'd say
5 to 8.
5th or 6th.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they sneak in. I think they solidify maybe outside of a home spot. All right.
Yes.
CONCACAF Champions Cup finish. 2025, they made it to the quarterfinals. Again, looking at the bracket, I don't know if you want to
No, I
preview the
don't.
bracket. You get the idea. What do you think? Quarterfinals or worse?
Semis.
Semis.
So over.
I think the
I'm on
semis
the
are
over.
attainable.
I'm
over.
on the over.
I'm with you. I think you see the path. You don't get the quarters. You'll see San Diego or Toluca.
Right.
The semis, it's possible. They could.
Okay.
You saw how they played against Toluca last season. All right.
Right.
Here's the big one. Klaus. Goal contributions. Goal contributions.
I'm all. I mean, I think you know my number.
Yeah, I put 12 because goals and assists.
I am over.
Based on. Okay, you're over.
I am over. I think it's going to be like 15, 16. That's where
Okay.
I think.
All right. Peck goal contributions. I'm setting the number at 20 because he had a pretty insane 2024 where he was off the charts. 19 goals, 16 assists. I don't think we'll see that, but can he get to 20 between goals and assists?
Under. But I think 20 is probably the number that you're thinking of. So I think you're real close on that one. I'm going to say under, but just barely under.
All right, and then let's not forget about Paintsil. I'm going to go slightly under there. His number would be 17 goals and assists. Where do you got him? He had 10 goals. He was the team leader last year.
It's a redemption tour. He's over. They say
he's over.
Joe is going to be on fire this year. I know. We've been similar to seeing Peck doing this, but no, I'm telling you, Joseph Paintsil is where my money is this year.
All right, and then we're going to go defense.
Yes.
Defense. We went with the offense. Now we're going to go defense. Goals against. 2025, 66 goals against. MLS Cup winning season, 50 goals against. I think with an improved defense, I'm keeping it at 50.
Under.
Goals against. Under. So
under.
Fewer than 50 goals conceded.
Significantly under.
Okay, last two here. Mitrovic starts. Last year he had 20 starts. I'm going to keep it at 20. Does he start more than 20 games or fewer than 20 games?
Fewer.
Okay. We think Mark Jankowski
because
takes
why not?
It, or who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Something's going to happen. Under.
All right. And the last one. This is going to hurt.
Right.
But I'm going to say it. These are you have to ask the hard hitting questions. LA Galaxy head coaches 1.5. Over or under?
I mean, I think you're expecting them to be okay this year. I don't think that there's going to be much problem. So I would say under. I would take the under.
I agree.
Okay.
I think Vanny has a much better team. Systems are in place. I don't think he hits the hot seat. I think they get off to a better start. So there's your rapid edition of over-unders.
Okay, good.
New segment. I like that you had the music too. Well done.
I mean, hey, it's a little bit of production here, a little bit of production there. I press a button, things happen. So it's always good. Oh, this is good. We got one. Alex puts one in, $5 super chat. By the way, if you have your over-unders, get them in on the super chats. Let's see what we can do. Ask us, all love to Edwin Cerrillo, but how many games will Edwin Cerrillo miss due to yellow card accumulation / red cards? Over, under.
We got one.
Over,
Does
under.
one already
yeah,
count?
I know. Yeah, I think so. Yes, it absolutely counts. Over, under is 4 games. Are you over or under? Just say
over under is 40. I'm gonna say under.
Under. Okay,
I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say he keeps his
answer's
cool.
over.
I'm gonna say he keeps it because we already got one. He's gonna know. It takes a while to get there. Okay, so you're going for
over.
You're going over.
Yeah. It's 5 or 6 at least.
Which you know what? If he does, he's earned it, and that's the type of player you. Like I said, that you wear that like a badge of honor. Hey, I'm out there defending the badge, going boots up.
Right.
When a player gets into a scrap, someone goes after one of our players. Cerrillo's in there. He's the bulldog. So if he gets more than 4, he did his job.
I'm going to say this. I think he throws a punch, and those I get 3 games right there. So that's I'm like at the number.
But
I'm right there.
It says specific. Oh, okay, I guess it does say / red cards. Okay, maybe I would go over.
Yeah, over.
Maybe I will go over.
Yeah. But like
answer.
how many games is he going to miss? It's not the cards. It's how many games is he going to miss because of the cards.
Fair.
Let's see. We have David in the super chats. He says, "Do you think the match between LA Galaxy versus LAFC should be scheduled July 20th after World Cup final? It would be better. It would be a better day, in my opinion." No, I mean, we sort of heard that MLS wants to have it in that gap in order to
while people are talking about it. Yeah.
Yep. While everything's going, it's like, oh well, what big game can you put on? And by the way, they were correct. There is no bigger game to put on. But what big game can you put on that makes sense in this one? So. Somebody said 3-game suspension after LAFC game. See, everybody I love when Eddie shows up and he starts like getting feisty about it. I have no qualms about it. I'm okay with whatever happens. I will be there. I may complain about it on here later because I'll be like, got to keep your head, man. But underneath, there's respect there. All right.
Yeah.
So
it's called knowing your brand. Again, the chat definitely knows what they want to see out of Cerrillo.
Locker room fights they didn't even fight last year. I hate to break it to everybody. They actually got along.
It was fine. Yeah,
it was fine. Yeah. It was not a good season, but they didn't hate each other. So whole deal. The LA Galaxy $5 super chat from Bag. We need a new commissioner, no salary cap, and include a pro rel system. Oh wow, pro roller in here right now.
You went heavy.
Yeah. If owners don't want to spend, then they get relegated to get better. Listen, the reason the commissioner doesn't hold people to the rules. The owners and the competition committee come up with the rules, and then the commissioner enforces those rules. It's just it's the owners and everybody around that is going. Now we've talked about the fact that there is an undercurrent of change, and that there are people who want to spend more money, and there was things. But if you change Don Garber, that doesn't change like who the owners are, right? Like that's sort of the big thing. And they are looking for a replacement for Don Garber. There is a search ongoing for Don Garber's replacement. We talked to Nelson Rodriguez about that on this show. So this is for me. And pro rel's never happening.
Well, I'll say this: the no salary cap, I get it because you're hamstrung. What's the correct? When you compare to other leagues, you can't go out and compete and give a player's true value because you have to fit under a salary cap. I think there are ways around that. They got there with the designated player. I think if you up that designated player, you'll find that will solve a lot of the problems. Maybe if you up the cap a little bit, that works well. With the pro rel conversation, obviously, I think knowing MLS and knowing the owners and the buy-in fees, we know that pro rel is not something that's coming to MLS, at least not in the near future. However, USL has introduced their pyramid and then their tiered system, and whatever your feelings are, I do think that there is a place where both of those can coexist, where you have MLS doing their thing and then USL having the pro rel to cater to those fans. I don't know if you know this about the United States. It's a big country. Not every market is going to get a team. So I think it's important to have your USL teams and to have that pyramid and to have that to kind of draw your, grow the game, my little soapbox there with your local teams. But MLS can still exist as the top league, as the Premier League that's going to get the big names and it's going to be the big draw. I think they can coexist in the same planet. I don't think you need to force MLS to be a pro rel situation. I think you can have, and there's enough love to go around in the soccer world to show how much the sport is growing to where these two things can kind of exist in the same community. And that's what US Open Cup is for, is to have these teams go at each other. And so as long as they don't mess with that, which it would not shock me based on MLS's shenanigans if they did kind of strong arm US Open Cup, but that's the concern. But that's what that cup exists for. But I think you could have both exist at the same time.
The really fun thing is, I think Mr. Ravino and I have had this, but I've said this in the Discord when we talk about the lower levels. This is a put up or shut up year for USL. We don't talk a lot about
They're making big
USL.
promises.
They're making huge promises, and there's not a lot to back it up right now. I have a feeling that if in the next couple of years you're going to see USL falter. I think that they're being built over a pyramid of hopes and dreams, and those hopes and dreams will eventually come down, and that'll end up to. And by the way, I think that's sad, but I listen, the reason they're trying to do pro rel is because they're trying to do something different in order to draw more eyes than MLS, right? And so there's certain people who get, real excited about promotion and relegation in the United States. They're going to have it protected whenever they do it anyway. So it's not, it's more like Mexico's promotion relegation than anything else, right? The whole deal. So, but I think USL has some real problems, and I think those are going to start to show up this year and next year. We've already seen MLS start to pull back a little bit in terms of what they're doing and how they're spending. By the way, in boneheaded things that MLS does, we talked, I think, a couple weeks ago about how they're getting rid of some of the Spanish language broadcasters and that stuff on the broadcast. We talked about how they're moving production over to London for some of those tier 3 games. Eric and I were talking to somebody who we know that has some info on this stuff, and I'm like, "What's a tier 3 game?" I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's not a tier 1 game. That's
not
for
a
sure.
tier 1 game.
Nope,
That's what you need to know.
Know that, right?
Think LA Galaxy 2025. That's
they're all tier 3 games, right? So doing stuff like that. But did they really? I mean, listen. Last year, I think they got rid of Extra Time Radio, which was the podcast that was sort of a staple for MLS and anybody who was sort of watching it. Yes, it was run by the league, but they had good people on there, really smart people who did it, right? But now they got rid of Matt Doyle. MLS got rid of Matt Doyle. They were like, we're fine.
That's not good.
We don't need to do that. You're talking about a guy who realistically should have a job in a front office somewhere. I've always been super impressed with him. I enjoy his comments, his ability to break down teams, to break down players, to figure out. He has a tactical mind that I do not have. He has the ability to see things that I cannot see. And there's absolutely nobody in the entire league who does it better. And MLS is like, yeah, definitely don't need that guy. I just wonder, like... And we're gifted on this show. We're independent. We get to say things about the LA Galaxy when we don't agree with them. And we get to say things about MLS when we don't agree. I personally think an unchained Matt Doyle is going to be a lot more fun. But that's not really the point here, is that who's making these boneheaded decisions? And is this related? In a World Cup year, you're going to have the guy who gives you the most analysis of anybody on any broadcast and knows the league.
I think that's what it comes down to. He knows the intricacies of the league. He follows it. He's an MLS sicko, true and true. And so if you want to know, okay, what's happening in MLS, Matt Doyle was someone who you went to check out. So again, they lose that wealth of knowledge. I don't know what the thought process is, if it's a cost-cutting thing, if it's a TV personality thing, or whatever it is. But again, when you think of like who bleeds MLS, Matt Doyle is one of those names that pops right to the top, who you would go to if you wanted to know what's happening in the pulse of the league. So again, it's a bummer to see that MLS made that decision. But to your point, and then he'll find somewhere else to land. I think The Athletic has a new reporter every.
But he's doing a Substack now, so like you should go subscribe to that.
He can also do his own thing.
Yep.
Substack is also a viable situation for people who want to be independent. You see a lot of people with success on Substack, so absolutely.
Yeah, it's boneheaded to me. And knowing and watching a man who understands the league way better than 99% of the executives who are probably running teams. By the way, if Houston hired Matt Doyle, their team would get better. If the Colorado Rapids hired Matt Doyle, their team would get better. I mean, I'll say it this way. If the LA Galaxy hired Matt Doyle, their team would get better. He has that ability and that sort of thing. All right, let's now get to what does MLS need to do to become a top 10 league? Fourth designated player, raise the salary cap, and then get rid of all of the TAM jam crap. Just you can spend it however you want underneath the cap. Yeah. I still like the designated players just because I think there should be a cap, and then for 4 players you should be able to spend as much money as you want on whatever you want to do. Because as we can see, that could be a serious boatload of money. Like if you want to get Leo Messi, you want to get Cristiano Ronaldo.
4 really expensive players again, where you could throw whatever. That's huge. And then of course I think you still could raise the cap more to get to be more competitive with some leagues, because we've seen that when I think the designated player rule was first introduced. There was a huge chasm between your designated players and then your guys who were working. This was their second job that they were doing on an MLS team. Huge difference. Now I think the gap is getting smaller. So I think if you do increase the amount of designated players, the cap needs to go up. Sadly, money talks. It all comes to that. How do you want to become a top 10 league? Be able to pay the league that has top 10 level players.
Yeah, I don't think the salary cap's going away. But if you make it into a there's a luxury tax and in NBA and in baseball and like a whole bunch of things. In the NFL there's a cap. Like and these are the top top sort of leagues in the world for what it is. Now, again, some very specialized leagues, and calling them world champions always cracks me up. But having said that, I think the cap. I think there's going to be more leagues adopting salary caps. I think if you're looking at those leagues that are sort of in the 15th, 14th, 13th in the world, I think you're going to see that they're like, the spending's getting crazy. How do we sort of reel this in so we can still be successful and do some things? So that's my sort of thing. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's where we go. All right. Let's get to the LA Galaxy's big kit launch, Velocity. I like, you know how I hate names for kits, right? We've talked about this so many times. But I don't mind this one. I don't mind the name. It's a fun,
interesting. Okay,
it's a fun, like, wordplay. I'm a Velocity. There's a city in there. It's about the whole thing. Like I can kind of do it. Velocity kit celebrates a timeless foundation with the return of the club's signature sash, presented with a revised look for the new season. The return of blue serves as a connection to past Galaxy uniforms and signals the direction of the club moving forward. So the LA Galaxy roll everything out here with the Velocity kit, and obviously all this video and pictures courtesy of the LA Galaxy. Lots of different looks at it. I think we got to see it out at CVI, or but I've seen it before. This is so it was sort of that. I will say that the thing that drives me crazy is still that the Herbalife is like, there's a giant freaking gap in the middle. As somebody said, is that like where is that like the gap in the Galaxy's like midfield, right? Like, is that what that is supposed to be? So I thought that was
the hole in the defense. I think that's what it is. And the frustrating thing when you see it is it can be done. Go look at a River Plate jersey and you'll see they have the sash and the sponsor goes over the sash, and it seems to work for other teams, other clubs who have the sash. So again, from what I understand, I believe it's a Herbalife thing where,
it is.
They don't want to, have anything obstructing that logo. So it is what it is. But I will say, going back to the name thing, the Velocity kit, at first I was like, Velocity kit, what does that have to do with anything? It felt like they were jamming the square peg in the round hole. And so to me, I felt like this name didn't hit until I realized the stripes are traffic lines, and it's a street. They're driving. It's Velocity. They're moving quickly. Then it kind of.
Yeah, is that
right,
true?
Right?
Are you making that up?
Show one of the videos. At the first video, it shows the yellow lines in the center divider, and then it kind of blends into the kit. Look, there it is.
You're
right.
Not wrong.
So now that kind of makes a little bit more sense, because at first I felt like this was a Zlatan era rebrand, essentially, because it's the same blue sash, it has yellow around the outside, and so I was like, if it's the Zlatan jersey, it's just a new version of it. But then now when you realize, it's two lines and it goes with the traffic, it's grown on me, like almost every single Galaxy jersey, and part of it is being shaded as a homer.
Right.
But this is something that's kind of grown on me. The name grew on me. I didn't initially like it. I didn't initially understand it. Now it makes sense to me. And then, of course, the jersey. I like the original sash, with the gold outline. So why wouldn't I like this? So to me, it's it. You're going to probably see me in it. And then I know they talked about the star formation. We saw it, the Stairway to 7. We've hit the hashtag, we've hit the trademark, or whatever you want to do on that. But I also like the explanation that they acknowledge that there is room for growth. It's not saying, hey, we're the best team, which was a thing that we said for so long, the team with the most MLS Cups. It's, yes, we're still that, but there's also room for one more. And I think that's great branding behind it. Maybe it's coincidental. Maybe, it's all fluff where you need to figure out some wording to say why, but I think they landed the plane on that.
It looks really good in person. I will say that I've seen it up close. It's nice that they have, I think, the holographic badge is back again, which is always a nice touch. It's always funny though, like whenever you talk about holographic badges, like you have to be on top of it to see it, and then like from a perspective of you're far away and sort of looking at it. I don't have a problem with this. I just have a problem with the giant break in the middle. Even if like you got rid of the Herbalife's little leaf thing to like so that way you could bring it closer and the gap was smaller, I would be okay with it. These are the concerns of a brand that needs to make sure it's always, hey, we're getting what we paid
front
for.
Center.
Yeah, it's like make sure, we need to be on top of this. One of these days it'll go away, and the pyramid scheme. It's funny, the LA Galaxy have stars that are almost like a pyramid. The pyramid scheme thing and whole deal. So yeah.
And I'll say it's a deal with the devil too, because again, that brings a lot of money into the club, and
it does.
They've been able to buy a lot of designated players and have partnerships because of that brand. So again, I'm with you on it not necessarily being the coolest sponsor to have on the front of the jersey. I know there's a lot of fantasy mock-ups, with Modelo, with In-N-Out, all these different things that you could put across that would look so much cooler across the front. But, in terms of being a lucrative thing for the Galaxy, I understand that there's sponsorships that go into it. So you kind of have to make your deal with the devil there.
I'm fine with this kit. I'm fine with it. It's gonna. And by the way, it's a good
LA Galaxy kit.
It's the same thing that happens every time. I'm like, okay. And then as it goes, I'm like, I really like that. I'll see it up close. I'll be like, oh man, that's really nice. The whole deal. So yeah, just give it a little bit. Do it. Adam, $5 Super Chat says, apologize for joining late. I just got home from work. What's one question you guys have for this upcoming season of the LA Galaxy? Is this defense for real? That's my question. I'm waiting.
Okay.
I'm waiting. 3 shutouts against not top quality, but 3 shutouts in, basically, what is it, like a 3-1 or 4-1 goal scoring, goals for versus goals against. That's the correct ratio if you want to win stuff. Just letting you know, like that's what you should hope to see for the rest of the year. But is the defense for real? What's your question?
Who's going to fill the void, the Ricky void this season? So I mentioned it earlier, and you may get tired of me mentioning it, but there's a gap in creativity, in assists, in providing those goal opportunities. So part of it is, you need a goal scorer. You need someone who could put it in the back of the net, but you also need someone to put it on the platter to serve you. And to me, Ricky was that guy. So who's going to step up and fill that role? Is it going to be Gabriel Peck, who's going to score his goals, but he's also going to get into the assist game? Or is it going to be someone like an Eric Tommy who comes in with his experience and does his thing? Is Marco Reus going to be able to stay healthy throughout a season? Maybe that's a separate question that I could have answers. But if he stays healthy, maybe he's the one who fills that void and becomes the provider, because he was the best player on the team last season when he was on the field. He just was not always on the field. So to me, it's who's going to fill that provider role.
Let's see. Final super chat, and then we got to bail out of here because it's already, I don't know. We've been doing this for like an hour and 15 minutes, 16 minutes.
The over-unders.
That's fine. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Adam says, Josh, what time will you arrive for the home opener? Good question. We'll not be there for the home opener, which is crazy, by the way. Yeah, I know. It's a whole thing. But no, we will see. There are some possibilities that I will be there. There's also a pretty strong likelihood I won't. I haven't missed a home opener, I think, in like 17 seasons. So this will be like one of the first ones that I would have to miss. But it's for a good reason, and I'm okay with it. And I will be at the next game, the midweek game. I will be at the next home game. Like, eventually I'm there for 17, 18, 19 games in the season. So I have plenty to look forward to and do that stuff. But we'll see. If everything falls apart, I could be there, but as of right now, it seems like that won't happen. So
you also don't necessarily want that, right? Again, you'll be there plenty. But there's something about the magic of the home opener. There's something about so much fun. After being gone and coming back and giving the high fives to everyone who you haven't seen in a little bit. There is some magic there.
Yeah. Just the fact, I'm glad there's a game on like Thursday. So that way I don't have to feel like too bad about it. Right. And then Thursday, and then you get to hit the weekend again, and so then you have another game. And so it's like, I'm glad that there's all that stuff that's sort of stacked, because otherwise I would feel bad. The number 10, Bag says the number 10 doesn't matter. Hawk, Glesnes, Garces, top 3 in defense. Could be. That's the hope.
And we'll find out if 10 doesn't matter or not. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I sort of look at Klaus and say he's sort of a creator at the 9, which is a different look. He's a distributor from the 9. I won't say creator, but a distributor from the 9. I think that works well with guys running 100 miles an hour on the other side.
Is he the guy?
Could be. So that's what we have. All right, LA Galaxy getting ready for one final preseason match. That preseason match coming up on Friday against Real Salt Lake, closed door at Coachella Valley Invitational. So at CVI, then the LA Galaxy will trot all the way back from Coachella back to the stadium. I just like to play this video. It's fun for me. And so they'll be back for that. Then the LA Galaxy, in terms of their games coming up, it will be down to Panama on 2/19, so February 19th. The LA Galaxy will be heading down to Panama to play Sporting San Miguelito in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and then the LA Galaxy hosting New York City, then the LA Galaxy hosting San Miguelito again, and then the LA Galaxy hosting Charlotte. So 225. So again, 222, 225, 228. The LA Galaxy will be right there playing real games that matter. And all of a sudden, Eric, I don't know how it happened, and it feels like it's been rushed, but all of a sudden the Galaxy are playing games that matter.
And the next thing you know, And the next thing you know, you're going to have an Excel sheet with wins and losses for the month of February, and it's going to be full. There's going to be 4 W's or L's or whatever, or D's or whatever you have in there. So exciting times.
Should be a lot of fun. All right. Anything else for you, sir?
I just want to shout out to the LA Galaxy for again, the hospitality out there, taking care of the family. Shout out for Tom for the personalized tour and Jamie for making sure all the credentials and everything worked out. So again, just a huge thank you to the Galaxy for making my CVI experience excellent.
Ditto. They're all wonderful people working very hard and always very gracious with allowing us to go out there. And 3 years in a row. Although whenever I said it's our 3rd year out here to Greg, he was like, really? Like three? Like he was like, what? I don't remember. Greg, you were on all 3 of those shows. We'll figure.
He's the one consistent part. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you've been on all 3 of those. It's fine. It's fine, Greg. You don't need to remember. So that's where it is. All right, Eric, tell people where they can find you. Let's go.
All right. As always, you can find me on all social media at HammerEV9. That's HammerEV and the number 9.
Looking for me on any of these socials at Galaxy Podcast, cornerofthegalaxy.com. Head over to any place you get your podcasts and you can type in Corner of the Galaxy and get this podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family, this is the place that you need to be every single Monday night, Thursday night, Tuesday morning, Friday morning. Ready with your podcast, ready so that you can be kept up to date on the LA Galaxy. We're in season 18 of Corner of the Galaxy. We're glad to be back here for 2026. Cannot wait till everything kicks off next week. So for Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been listening and you've been watching to our little Corner of the Galaxy. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.